guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about when to accept a medical coding career field challenge. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so I saw this comment on a website a few days ago, and it has all the ringings of something that I want to discuss on this channel. The thing about it is, guys, when you get into this career field of medical coding, you're going to come up against a lot of people with a lot of ego, and there's going to be people that think that they know a lot, and some people that do, and some people that do not, and some people that have a good game when they talk, but really can't back it up with what they're doing, right? And so sometimes this happens, and I have heard horror stories about managers who, belittle their coworkers and belittle their coders and make them feel like they don't know anything. And there's been some fantastic managers that challenge their coders to learn more so that they can grow. And they do this the proper way, right? They do this the proper way, and so that the coder learns more. But I wanted to point out this particular comment, and I'm going to read it here in a second. But I want you guys to think about this. In this career field, it's expensive as it is. It's expensive to learn. It is expensive to grow in. It is expensive to maintain, because we have to maintain our certifications with continuing education units that are due every 2 years, right? You have, whether you're with the American Health Information Management Association or you're certified with the American Academy of Professional Coders, each one has its own amount of CEUs or continuing education units that you have to report for your credential, depending. If you have one of the 3 medical coding certifications with the American Health Information Management Association, the CCS, the CCA, or the CCSP, it is 20 continuing education units for one certification. With AAPC, it is 36 for one. Okay, and yes, you can find some free continuing education units, but you can't always. And as you end up going further along in your career, if you decide to get some of these specialty credentials, they're going to require you to only go to certain vendors so that you can get those continuing education units, and those vendors can charge you whatever they want. So that's something to keep in mind as you start progressing in your career and you're considering adding on additional credentials. Okay, that's the whole thing first. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to get into it. So here we go. So the comment reads, a manager and trainer told me I was going to drown because I was a CPC-A, Certified Professional Coder Apprentice. But I am going to prove them wrong. On to my next certification, Certified Professional OBGYN Coder, certification number 2. Congratulations, you just turned on a I'm gonna prove them wrong button, LOL. No, actually, they didn't. What they did was they made you mad, and now you want to prove them wrong. But my question is this: what influence do they have in your life that is so impactful that you have to go and prove them wrong? Because you're not hurting them. You are not hurting them when you get an additional credential. What's going to end up happening is you have to spend more money to be able to maintain and even get that additional credential. So you have to pay for the test, then you got to pay for the upkeep on that credential as well. And it's going to cost you more money because you want to have 2 certifications when that CPC has already tested you on OBGYN coding. And if you look in the job listings, they're not asking for OBGYN specific coders. They're asking for CPCs, or they're asking for CCS or CCA or CCSP. That's what they're asking for. They're not asking for the specific credentials like that, the subspecialty credentials. They're not asking for those. So now you have to pay out more money because you want to look good to this other person who doesn't care about you, who clearly is not a leader, because they would say some stupid thing like that, So that's something to think about. Now, my advice would have been, why get the Certified Professional OBGYN Coder? Why don't you get the CIC, the Certified Inpatient Coder? Because that's the inpatient credential offered with AAPC, since she's already with AAPC. and that inpatient coding has nothing to do with the CPC-A. It has nothing to do with the CPC. CPC only covers outpatient coding. The CIC covers inpatient coding, and that's with the ICD-10 PCS manual. So it's something completely different. So that her getting something like that, or him, whoever, getting something like that would say that this coder is more versatile because they can code in the inpatient setting or the outpatient setting. This opens this person up to way more places to be able to apply. But no, they want to get that next OBGYN coder credential because it's already something that they're familiar with, so they can just tick the box and add that to their credential line. And it's going to make them look more impressive. No, it doesn't make you look more impressive. It just makes you look like you got mad and you got this additional credential because somebody upset you, rather than think it through and say, you know what? I don't want to be tested again on something that I'm already familiar with. I want to be tested again on something that's going to open more doors for me, like that CIC. Or she could have said, hey, you know what? I'm going to trade in what I know now, and I'm going to up the ante and go for that CCS, right? The Certified Coding Specialist. That's the gold standard of medical coding credentials. And there is no apprentice status on that, right? That CPC is going to have that apprentice status for the next 2 years, right? Unless she went through a program, or he went through a program that'll, speed up that process, or if they go through Practicode. But other than that, you're not hurting them. You're hurting yourself when you do some things like that, So again, I would challenge people to, when you're getting this negative feedback, either from a teacher or from a supervisor, I would get out of a toxic work environment like that, definitely, because that's not the norm. I mean, people don't do that. And there's going to be managers out there that will give you a hard time, and some that will challenge you to do better. But they certainly won't sound like that. When I first got to my forever home here, I did have a wonderful boss who was very tough. She used to be a drill sergeant. And so she was the epitome of what a great leader is. And I miss being under her very much, because she kept everything in line and everybody was respectful to everybody, because that's the way that she maintained her department. And she always challenged us to learn more, to do more, to be more. And that's the great thing about leadership, is that you can encourage people to do better with themselves. The great thing about my channel is that a lot of times I get emails from people who say, Bleu, you inspired me to either go back to school, or you inspired me to go from a CPC to a CCS, because I want to have those additional opportunities. I want to be able to have more options to be able to try different things in medical coding. Or, I never knew this about the CCSP. I really want to do that. Or I want to start with the CCA because I want people to know that I'm, ready to start in the industry. And so that's a thing, guys. When you're out there, be careful who you're listening to. You don't have to listen to everything that everybody says. There's going to be people who say mean things to you in this industry. There's going to be people who will doubt your intelligence. You will argue, definitely, with your auditors. There's going to be times when you are going to be audited either by your supervisor or maybe by a data quality person, and you're right and you're brand new and you just made a veteran medical coder look bad. So they're not going to take that well if they don't know how to regulate that kind of emotion, And there's some people that can't, and they don't have those skills to professionally manage how they're feeling, and they kind of lash out. That's possible anywhere you go. And so that's why it's on you to learn to have a thick skin and learn not to be motivated by anger, but be motivated by thought and think things out. Because making a snap decision like this now is going to cost this person that instead of the 36 is going to be 42 continuing education units she's going to have to, or he's going to have to report every 2 years. Every 2 years now. And not to mention the other credentials that they keep adding on, right? But look at the financial burden that it's going to be, right? If you have to end up paying out of pocket for these additional CEUs, that you have to pay. And then again, you're having to study for this credential. That is anyone asking for this? No, no one is asking for it. If you look in the job listings, you will see that they will ask for the CCS, CCA, CCSP, or the CPC, but they're not asking for that certified professional OBGYN coder. Now, if the employer was paying for this and they said they wanted their people to be like certified with that, that's great. By all means, go ahead and collect all that free education. But if you are having to go into it, think about the cost. Think about the cost. And just because you have one credential, it doesn't mean that you'll be a bad medical coder. Again, I had one credential for 13 years. 13. And I trained nurses, I trained doctors, I trained other medical coders, I trained leadership staff on coding. I made myself a well-rounded medical coder where I knew about different specialties and different coding things about different clinics and things like that. So, being able to code for the outpatient clinic, and then being able to code for the ER, being able to code for inpatient professional services or the profi services, being able to do all of that. I spend my time concentrating on learning that. I'm not going to concentrate on what other people are telling me, other people who have no bearing on my life, right? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about looking and thinking about what people are telling you. Does it matter what they say? Is this a person who loves you, who cares about you, who is your life partner? No, it is not. It is somebody that is off the street or somebody that you work with. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Because again, it's not a good challenge. They're telling this person that she's going to drown or he's going to drown because they have a CPC-A. Again, if you have a CPC, you started off as a CPC-A, right? If you didn't go through one of those programs, you started off as a CPC-A too. And what makes you so different from this person? And if this person is not getting it right away, it's really on that person to say, okay, let me figure out another way so that I can figure this out. Or let me find a mentor, or let me find a tutor who can help me to understand. And it's not about, the fact that I'm going to prove them wrong. You never do things in your career out of anger, because it's never going to go to a good place. It's going to burden you. This person is going to be burdened now because they're holding a credential, or they're probably going to get more credentials that really are rolled right into that CPC, instead of challenging themselves with something else harder, like the CIC, which is something completely different from that CPC. Okay, guys, I want you guys to think about that. Don't jump to every challenge. Or if somebody says, well, I know this and I know this and I have all these credentials and I'm so impressive. It's not impressive, guys. What's impressive is your knowledge that you can share. Your knowledge when you're coding and your accuracy, that's impressive, not the length of your credentials, okay? And yes, while people say, well, Blue, you have 2 credentials. Yes, I know I do. But I'm still with the same association, right? Still with the same association. I did get the CCSP first, and I earned it. So same thing with that CCS. I have never coded for the inpatient setting, but I know to be well-rounded, I needed to get that certification so that I could display my competence to code for inpatient coding. I have my Patreon channel, and of course I have my YouTube channel. And to me, it's a big responsibility when I'm sitting here telling people, about this career field. I need to make sure that I know a lot and my knowledge is vast. And how do I do that if I don't have a credential to show for it, right? That I know that inpatient side too. So that's why I went ahead and pursued on to get that CCS. And that CCS says that you have mastered inpatient and outpatient coding, and that you've mastered medical coding. And I have, but I still have more to learn. I will always be learning, as any good medical coder would say, is that they're always learning. You don't know everything. No one knows everything. I know a lot. My knowledge is vast, but I do not know everything. So that's something that, if anybody ever tells you, oh, I know a lot, I know everything, they don't. And sometimes it's just a good game, a good talking game. So that's just something that you need to be aware of, guys. Don't be taken advantage of by people, and don't do things in your career out of anger. Do them because you want to be better. Do them because you want to push yourself and give yourself that challenge. Now, if somebody's telling you, hey, you know, you've been working in the industry for, 10 or 15 years and you don't have a certification, come on, I know you can do it. That's a good challenge. That is a good challenge right there, because sometimes it's just that people get so nervous and they don't really believe in themselves. And when they see somebody else believes in them, that's all they need to be able to move forward and say, hey, yes, I got my certification. Because we don't always have the best support team around us. You know, I was very fortunate while my mother was alive to have her as my support system. And she was the greatest, greatest support system ever. And I was very blessed because of that. And I have my career because of my mom. And I know that every day that I do this, I'm making her proud. And so that is something that drives me forward, and that's, she was all I needed in order to keep doing this. She was all I needed. So, but there are some people that don't have that, unfortunately. They have a family or they have friends around them that say that they can't do it. And again, if you want to push yourself to get a certification and get into this career field because you want it, that's a good challenge. But don't ever let somebody strong arm you and make you think that you need to have all of these other credentials just to be impressive, when all you need to do is apply yourself, get to studying, get into a better place that is less toxic, because there are toxic places out there, but you don't have to stay there. As easily as you were able to get that job, you can get another job. Okay, I'm gonna pause this for a second. Okay, I'm back. But that's my message for today, guys. I want you all to look at what you want to do and set your goals. If it is that you want to eventually work in a different type of specialty, and maybe you're working in cardiology right now and you want to continue on and you say, hey, orthopedics looks really interesting. I'm going to start doing research on orthopedics and I'm going to start learning about orthopedic coding. That's a good challenge, right? Because if you get really good with like injuries and, organic conditions, that's going to open up doors for you, right? You're going to be able to work in the ER. You're going to be able to work in urgent care. You can work in family practice if you like, because they all involve some sort of injury coding, or sometimes it's just the organic conditions of the body, right? When it comes to the bones. So that's something that you can challenge yourself that way, but don't allow external people to be challenging you in a negative way. All right? Look carefully, think it through, and don't do anything based on emotion. All right? You want to keep yourself steady, and you want to be able to keep yourself thinking forward, moving forward, and do things that are going to benefit you, not benefit somebody else, guys. Especially if it's going to cost you money and time. Two very important things. Money and time are very precious. And sometimes people they just treat time like it's nothing. And then by the time you know it, so many years goes by. Okay? Same thing with money. People say, oh, well, I'll just pay it or I'll just do whatever. You don't have to, when all you have to do is concentrate on what you have in front of you. And don't worry about what other people are telling you. That's my advice anyway. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. If this video helped you, I hope you will like and subscribe and share. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.